Right now, as you're watching this, there's a system working inside you that only kicks in when you haven't eaten. You don't hear it. Not while the fan is humming nearby, the fridge is buzzing, and this voice is playing in your ears. But then you sit down for an exam, step into an elevator with a stranger, or lie down in bed in an empty apartment, and it totally gives you away. Your stomach growls. A low gurgling sound, like someone slowly pouring water from one bottle to another inside you. You suck in your gut, press your hand against it, lean forward, hold your breath. Doesn't help. And here's the awkward part. That sound isn't telling you you're hungry. It has nothing to do with hunger. It's the background noise of an industrial cleaning operation your body has started inside itself because it's decided food won't be coming for a while. The mechanism that triggers it is older than humans as a species. It works almost the same way in a dog, a rabbit, and you. To understand why it betrays you exactly in silence, we need to break down three things. Who's actually making that noise in your gut, because it's not your stomach? Why silence doesn't just reveal the sound, but actually fuels it. And that's the weirdest part of the story. And why nature even built a device inside you that runs through your intestines every hour and a half, like a floor-scrubbing machine in a late-night supermarket. At the end, I'll show you which kind of growling doctors take seriously and what sign tells them things are going wrong. If you've already instinctively put your hand on your stomach, hit that like button. It helps the channel. Let's keep going. Let's start with a phrase you've heard your whole life, and it's wrong. A rumbling stomach means you're hungry. There's a connection, but the cause is backwards. Emptiness itself doesn't make noise. Take an empty plastic pipe and shake it. Silence. Pour some water into it, trap a little air, and then squeeze it with your hand from top to bottom. Now it roars. For sound, you need three things: liquid, gas, and a force that mixes them together. You've got plenty of liquid in you. Over the course of a day, several liters of saliva, gastric juice, bile, and pancreatic juice are secreted into your intestinal tract. And there's always gas. Between half a liter and a liter and a half passes through your intestines daily, some of it just from swallowing air with food and words. The force comes from the muscles in your intestinal walls. Doctors have known this for a long time, and they listen to your belly on purpose. The stethoscope was invented by French physician René Laennec in 1816, and it quickly became clear you could use it on more than just the chest. These sounds even have their own name, borborygmus, a Greek word, pure onomatopoeia, like the English growl or gurgle. The ancient Greeks heard the same thing you do, but their explanation would make a modern gastroenterologist cringe. Before the 19th century, stomach noises were blamed on shifting winds and spoiled internal humors. The treatment matched the logic: charcoal, laxatives, opium tinctures, tight belts. The idea was simple: if it's noisy, there's something extra inside. Flush it out. People who took laxatives for growling only made it worse, because the faster the contents move through your gut, the louder it works. And here's another observation that finally shatters the myth. A full stomach growls too. After a heavy meal, there's intense churning in your intestines, plenty of sound. You just don't notice it because there's dinner conversation, clinking utensils, and because you're not afraid of the sound when you've just eaten. So the question isn't whether you're full or empty. The question is who's running the engine and on what schedule. Your intestinal muscles don't make any decisions on their own. They have their own pacemaker. The interstitial cells of Cajal, named after Santiago Ramón y Cajal, the same Spanish scientist who won the Nobel Prize for mapping the nervous system. These cells sit in the gut wall and generate slow electrical waves at a steady frequency. In the stomach, about 3 waves per minute. In the duodenum, around 12. So while you read this sentence, 2 or 3 waves have already passed through your upper intestine. And it's not your brain giving the orders. Embedded in the wall of your digestive tract is its own nervous system, the enteric nervous system. Estimates put its neuron count between 200 and 600 million. Take the middle ground and you've got roughly as many cells as there are people living in the entire European Union. Neuroscientist Michael Gershon didn't call it the second brain for nothing. It can operate on its own, even if you completely cut its connection to your head. But it is tightly linked to your head through the vagus nerve. And here's a fact that flips the everyday view of the body on its head. About 80% of the fibers in the vagus nerve go not from top to bottom, but from bottom to top. So it's not so much your brain commanding your gut, it's your gut constantly reporting back to your brain. You don't notice it, but your intestines are talking to your head right now. Now for the main event. When there's no food inside you, a special mode kicks in. In the late 60s, Canadian physiologist John Brown described the hormone motilin, which is released in the lining of the small intestine on an empty stomach. Its levels rise in waves. And in 1969, physiologist Joseph Surshevsky recorded the electrical activity of a hungry animal's gut and saw something he called the migrating motor complex. It works in cycles. Each cycle lasts about 90 to 120 minutes, roughly the same length as one sleep cycle. First comes a quiet phase, almost complete silence. Then a phase of irregular, random contractions, sluggish and chaotic. And then comes phase 3, and that's the one that embarrasses you. Phase 3 lasts 5 to 10 minutes. It's a series of powerful, rhythmic contractions that move strictly in one direction, starting in the stomach and sweeping through the entire small intestine all the way to the junction with the large intestine. Each ring of muscle squeezes nearly shut, pushing forward anything it finds: food remnants, mucus, shed cells, bile, water, and air. In the 70s, physiologists at the Mayo Clinic gave this wave the perfect name: the gut janitor. It's the mix of water and air being pushed through a narrow, slippery tube under pressure that sounds like liquid sloshing in a bottle. You're not hearing emptiness, you're hearing work. And that's why a glass of water or a single cracker silences the growling almost immediately, even if you haven't had a full meal. As soon as food enters the stomach, motilin levels drop. Phase 3 gets cut short, and the gut switches to a fed mode, smaller, more frequent, and more chaotic contractions. Cleanup is cancelled. Processing begins. You didn't drown out hunger. You sent the janitor home. That leaves a question that still hangs in the air. The janitor patrols your body around the clock, every hour and a half, no matter where you are. So why does it become audible specifically in the library? The first part of the answer is boring and honest. It's acoustics. A quiet room is around 30 decibels. Normal conversation is about 60. A 30 decibel difference in loudness is perceived as a multiple, not a percentage. But more important than volume is frequency. Acoustic measurements show that the main energy of bowel sounds is in the low frequencies, roughly 100 to 500 hertz. And that's exactly where all the everyday background noise lives. The hum of the fridge, ventilation, tires on asphalt, the low end of the human voice. This is called masking. A louder sound in the same frequency range simply drowns out the quieter one, and your auditory system doesn't pick it out separately. Remove the background noise, and your stomach didn't get any louder. It just became the only sound. The second part is even more fascinating. You don't hear your own stomach the same way other people do. For them, the sound has to travel through your body wall, lose most of its energy, and then travel through the air for a couple of feet. But for you, it goes directly through fluid, soft tissue, and bone, straight into your inner ear. For you, it's a front row concert. For the person at the next table, it's a faint gurgle, if they even hear anything at all. So the panic you feel sitting in a lecture with a poker face and red ears is statistically unfounded. The only person in that room who's actually being deafened by your stomach is you. But masking doesn't explain everything. Otherwise, silence would just make the growling more noticeable. But in silence, it actually happens more often. Here, science splits into two camps, and both are about half right. The first camp focuses on attention. The perception of signals from your own internal organs is called interoception, and it's mostly processed in the insular cortex. You only have one spotlight of attention, and in silence, there's nothing outside to engage it, so it turns inward. Same mechanism that makes you suddenly notice the ticking of a clock at night, even though it's been hanging in the same room all day without you hearing it. And during an exam, anxiety adds to it. You're specifically monitoring your stomach to catch a growl early, and because of that, you notice every tiny movement inside. It's a closed loop. The second camp says something less pleasant. Silence doesn't just reveal the sound, it actually encourages it. And to understand why that is, and why it feels like a real betrayal, we need to go back a few million years. The question of why we even need a janitor in the first place seemed trivial for a long time. The answer came when they looked at how many bacteria you have and exactly where they live. In the large intestine, there's a massive amount, about 100 billion bacteria per milliliter of content. But in the small intestine, where you actually digest and absorb food, there are several orders of magnitude fewer, in the thousands or tens of thousands. The small intestine stays nearly clean. And that's remarkable because it's warm, moist, dark, and full of nutrients. The perfect environment for fermentation. 4 things keep it clean: stomach acid, bile, local immunity, and that janitor. Every hour and a half, the third phase of the migrating motor complex passes through the small intestine and physically flushes everything down into the large intestine, where the bacteria belong. If this cleanup didn't happen, microbes would migrate upward and start fermenting right in the absorption zone, stealing your food and filling the small intestine with gas. Now put that together with how our ancestors lived. Food came in bursts. A successful hunt, a found patch of berries, then a long pause, sometimes a full day. Being hungry on an empty stomach wasn't a diet or an act of willpower. It was the normal operating mode. And it was during these pauses that the cleaning worked. The mechanism isn't an add-on for hunger. It's an add-on for the emptiness between meals. Hunger and stomach growling go hand in hand, simply because they're triggered at the same time. The hormone growling, released in the stomach and rising before your usual mealtime, simultaneously revs up gut motility and makes you think about a sandwich. One biochemical event, 2 different outputs. You assumed your stomach was asking for food because both things lined up. They lined up, but one doesn't cause the other. Now here's the real betrayal. This mechanism was designed for a world where stomach noises cost you nothing. The savannah is noisy. The forest is noisy. A campsite with kids and a fire is constantly noisy. In the entire history of our species, there was never a situation where a person sat in dead silence for 45 minutes in a room with 20 strangers, afraid to move or make a sound. Dead silence, mandatory and socially enforced, is an invention of the last few centuries. A reading room, a classroom during a test, a concert hall, an MRI suite, an open-plan office, a call with your microphone on. Nature couldn't have accounted for it because it didn't exist. The mechanism isn't broken. It works exactly as intended. It's just that the stage it performs on has changed beyond recognition, and it doesn't know it. And here's the detail that explains the last piece of the puzzle. Gut motility increases during parasympathetic tone. That's the state physiologists call rest and digest. It kicks in when you're still, breathing evenly, not exerting yourself. And the opposite is true too. Under active stress, the sympathetic system suppresses digestion. Blood goes to your muscles, and the gut quiets down. Now look at the list of quiet situations from your life. You're sitting, you're lying down, you're not moving. Silence almost always comes packaged with stillness and rest is exactly the condition where the gut's janitor works most energetically. That's why the loudest stomach growl you've ever had was at night, in bed, lying in the dark, just about to fall asleep. Quiet, calm, still, on an empty stomach. All four conditions at once. Your gut isn't rebelling in that moment, it's perfectly happy. There's a flip side too. For some people, acute anxiety actually ramps up motility through the brain-gut connection. So before a performance, the sound gets louder along with your pulse. The same nervousness stops everything in one person and revs it up in another. And while we're at it, look at what you're doing right now to make yourself louder. Anything that forces air into you. Carbonated water. The dissolved CO2 will come out in the gut. Drinking through a straw. Chewing gum. Talking while eating. Eating too fast with large bites. Smoking and vaping. That's all aerophagia, swallowing air. And all that air has to be pushed along by the gut's janitor. Then there's the stuff that ferments. Lactose, if you lack the enzyme lactase, which is the case for most of the world's adult population. Fructans from wheat, onions and garlic. Legumes. Sorbitol and other sugar alcohols from gum and sugar-free drinks. The bacteria in your large intestine break all this down and release hydrogen, methane, and carbon dioxide. By the way, that's why lactose intolerance is tested with a hydrogen breath test. The exhaled gas comes from your gut. And coffee on an empty stomach that noticeably jolts your motility. The classic student combo before a class, espresso and nothing else, is literally a manual for turning the janitor up to full power in the quietest room in the building. In the comments, write one word. Where did your stomach let you down the loudest? Exam, date, meeting, MRI, movie theater, funeral. I want to see which place wins. Now for what doctors are actually listening for when they press that stethoscope to your gut. It's not the noise itself they care about, it's the character of it. With a mechanical obstruction, when there's a blockage, a stricture, or an adhesion in the bowel, the sounds change drastically. They become high-pitched, ringing, metallic, like a drop falling into an empty iron barrel. The section of bowel above the blockage is desperately trying to push contents through the narrow spot. Pressure builds, and the pitch goes up. Along with it come cramping pain, bloating, vomiting, no stool or gas. And if the obstruction holds, over time, those sounds fade away completely, because the muscle just gives out. Silence in the belly, combined with severe pain and distension, is far worse than any rumble. A similar silence can happen after abdominal surgery that's post-operative ileus. For decades, surgeons would press a stethoscope to the abdomen and wait for bowel sounds to return as the green light to start feeding. Today, the reliability of that sign is being questioned, and they rely more on passing gas or having a bowel movement. Science honestly took a second look at its own tradition here. There's also the reverse situation, and it's directly linked to the janitor. When the migrating motor complex isn't working well, say from diabetic neuropathy, after certain surgeries or with long-term use of motility-suppressing drugs, the cleanup stops arriving on schedule. Then bacteria migrate up to where they shouldn't be, into the small intestine. This is called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Bloating right after meals, loud rumbling, a heavy feeling, sometimes diarrhea. The connection between a weak janitor and this condition is one of the leading hypotheses, but the scientific debate on the details continues.
With irritable bowel syndrome, the problem often isn't about contraction strength at all, it's about sensitivity. That's called visceral hypersensitivity. The same normal waves that pass unnoticed in your neighbor are felt as sharp cutting and stretching by this person. The bowel is working just fine. The volume is turned way up in the brain. And one more thing. In psychiatry, there's a described variant of social phobia where the person's main fear is that people around them will hear their stomach. Not pain, not disease, just the sound. People with this stop going to class, quit jobs in quiet offices, only sit near the exit. In that case, it's not the gut that needs treatment. Here's a simple rule of thumb.
Rumbling on its own is a sign of health, not a malfunction. You go to the doctor not because of the sound, but because of what comes with it. Blood, unexplained weight loss, pain that wakes you at night, persistent diarrhea or vomiting, total absence of gas and stool. Now go back to that silence. Reading room, exam, elevator, bedroom at 3 in the morning. In your belly, phase 3 of the migrating motor complex is in full swing.
The janitor, older by millions of years than you can even imagine, is traveling down the small intestine from the stomach to the far end, sweeping ahead leftovers, mucus, water, and air. It's doing this because you haven't eaten in a few hours, and in its logic, now is the perfect time for a cleanup. The silence in the room has pulled the mask off that sound. The stillness and quiet have added revs to the engine, and your attention, with nothing else to do in the silence, has aimed a spotlight at it and turned the volume all the way up. No one betrayed you. It's just a very ancient mechanism, honestly doing its job in a room that was never part of its calculations. Next time your stomach growls in dead silence, you'll be the only person in the room who knows exactly what's going on. And you'll also know this: the person across from you has the same janitor working on the same schedule. He just hasn't hit phase 3 yet.